If you want the Las Vegas Raiders to start Desmond Ridder this week against the Kansas City Chiefs, I want you to hit that like button right now. Coming up here on the Raiders Report, I'm going to tell you this. If the Las Vegas Raiders do not start Desmond Ridder, then Antonio Pierce is trying to tank. I said it. I'm not afraid to say it. I know AP said that he doesn't want to tank, but guess what? I'm going to tell you why if I'm the Raiders, I'm rolling with number 10. I'm rolling with Desmond Ridder, and it's simply because what else do we have to lose? That's why I'm rolling with Desmond Ridder, and a lot of y'all are going to be like, Mitch, is he even going to be playing in this game? He is one of the active QBs on the roster. The Silver and Black move Aidan O'Connell to IR literally just a few minutes ago, and he's going to be out at least 4 games. Gardner Minshew, Desmond Ridder are the only quarterbacks on the active roster, with Carter Bradley still on the practice squad. To me personally, and I know there's some people out there that want the Raiders to start Carter Bradley over Minshew, over Desmond Ridder, but I believe this. If the Raiders would have moved Bradley up on the active roster the same day that they dropped Aidan O'Connell on the IR, then there would have been at least a little bit of a possibility. Antonio Pierce, Tom Telesco, the move that they did on Tuesday tells me, and I think it should tell the entire nation out there, that this quarterback battle is going to be between Gardner Minshew and it's going to be between Desmond Ridder. And the fact that the Arizona Cardinals played on Monday Night Football last night, and the fact that Ridder did not show up to the game, he flew to Las Vegas, he landed in Vegas last night, tells me again that they're at least putting in the motion of getting him there as early as humanly possible, getting him in the building today, and getting him acclimated with the Luke Getsy offense going up, preparing against the Chiefs. So here's why you start Ridder, and the first reason is this. It can't be worse than Gardner Minshew, which probably isn't a great reason to start any player, but at the end of the day, we also got to be like, if we're trying to put the best team out there on the field, right now Gardner Minshew simply cannot play quarterback, I think, for Luke Getsy or for the Las Vegas Raiders. His stats, as it stands right now, 1,168 yards, 4 touchdowns, 11 turnovers, that's 8 interceptions, that's 3 fumbles. 2 of those turnovers have turned into touchdowns for the opposing team, and I don't even want to know how many points that opposing defenses have scored off of Gardner Minshew. But this is a game that I love to play, and Chugs rolls his eyes every time that I do it. But, I think sometimes people don't understand how bad a quarterback has been unless you see stats from a full 17-game sample size. If Minshew were to continue to do what he's doing right now, his 17-game sample size is 11 touchdowns and 32 turnovers. You're not going to win in the National Football League. You're not going to win in college football. You're not going to win in high school football. You're not going to win in Pee Wee football, Madden. I don't care what it is. You're not going to win when your quarterback is putting up those type of numbers. But Mitch, Ridder also turns the ball over a lot. You're not wrong. But guess what? We're here at this point in the Raiders season, and I'm at the point where you just got to try something a little bit different. Desmond Ridder last year, 12 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. He also had 12 fumbles on top of that, right? I know that the offense last year around Arthur Smith with Ridder did not look very good. And maybe Ridder was a bad fit in that. Maybe Ridder's going to be a bad fit in the Luke Getsy offense. I don't know what to tell you, but I know this. It's Chiefs week, and I want every single person to show up ready to go. Why? Because that's what the nation needs to do. I'm not saying that you got to go to Allegiant Stadium. All I'm saying is if you bleed silver and black, hit that subscribe button, and if you are already subbed to the #1 most watched Raiders channel in the world, spam FKC down below, because Desmond Ridder, and I can't even believe I'm saying this, Desmond Ridder has me excited to watch the Raiders this weekend. Why? Because I just don't want to watch Gardner Minshew try to play quarterback anymore for the Silver and Black. Let's go to the next reason here. Minshew has 0 confidence in himself. When you're the leader of a football team, you need to have confidence. And Chugs, when we were live, kind of brought up a comparison of if you were ready to getting ready to go out to war, if you're getting ready to go out to battle, and your sergeant, your general, looks like he's getting ready to shit a brick, doesn't want to go out there and battle, you're going, I don't think we should go out there and battle right now. Gardner Minshew, when he steps on the field, when he gets in that huddle, is just oozing with no confidence whatsoever. And you saw it against the Rams. He looked like a guy that didn't want to be there. He looked like my dog Chuck when I yell at him for doing literally anything. I know that his nickname's the guard dog, but right now he kind of looks like a pussycat doll. 154 yards, 0 touchdowns, 4 turnovers last week against the Los Angeles Rams. And since the Patrick Surtain pick 6, quite frankly, I think this play broke Minshew. Minshew, to me, was one of the quarterbacks that I think has always had thick skin, has always shown you that he can battle through a lot of different things. But I'm telling y'all right now, Luke Getsy has broken Gardner Minshew. And the play that you see on the field right now from Minshew, it's bad, and he even himself knows it. I mean, this is what he said after the Week 7 loss against the Rams. I have never turned the ball over like this in my life, so it's very frustrating. And I can see how frustrated Gardner Minshew is. And I'm not going to sit up here and go that it's only on Minshew's shoulders. That's not true at all. Getsy deserves blame. AP deserves blame. When you are coaches, you need to be able to put the best position, the best players in that situation. Tom Telesco, he deserves blame as well. Gardner Minshew at this point has lost confidence in himself. The Raiders have lost confidence in Gardner Minshew. That's why the Raiders went out and got Desmond Ridder. But if you're looking for a quarterback that might not have the athletic ability, that might not be able to save your season, what am I going to look for in a quarterback? Somebody that is a leader of men. Somebody that can be something where when times get tough, somebody's looking at him. Because right now when times get tough for the Raiders, everyone's looking around. There's no answers. We need a leader. We need an identity. And that's one of the things that Desmond Ridder, I do believe, will be able to bring to this table here. This is something that an AFC team scout said before Ridder ended up getting drafted. He's a humble leader who leads by example, and football is important to him. You will never have to worry about whether he's working on his game to get better. If I'm the Las Vegas Raiders, I need a leader. If I'm Antonio Pierce, I need a leader in that locker room. And I also need a player that didn't cost me anything in terms of draft capital, isn't going to cost me a lot in salary cap space, because even though we signed a quarterback to compete this season, let's be real, it's Desmond Ridder. You still need to be able to plan for the future. So what are the Raiders doing? They're showing you that we're not going to just tuck it between our legs this season, but we also know the biggest goal, 2025, and we're going to make sure that we got everything possible to make sure that we're setting ourselves right for 2025, but we're also not going to quit this year. And you can't blame Antonio Pierce, Tom Telesco, Luke Getsy for wanting to quit. Why? Because if they go out there and they don't win another game and they do tank, they're not going to have jobs next season. I can't get mad at the guy for trying to defend his job. Let's go to another reason here of why it's time for Ridder to start. His legs will open up the ground game. And I'm not saying that he's a super athletic quarterback that's going to run the football a lot. No, that's not what I'm saying at all. I'm simply saying Gardner was afraid to run. Eisen has literally never attempted a rushing attempt in his entire NFL career, and we see it time and time again. When you have a quarterback that has at least a threat to run, that opens up your running game. And Desmond Ridder last season had 53 carries, 193 yards, 5 rushing touchdowns, and 18 first downs with his legs. It's not going to be easy for the Raiders to move the football. So if you are in some of these third and long situations, it would help to have a quarterback that can at least tuck it and run, that can at least pick up a first down, that can at least extend drives with his legs. It's going to help out Alexander Mattison. It's going to help out Zamir White. It's going to help out the offensive line. And if you're Luke Getsy, why not take a quarterback that maybe is a similar playbook to one that you've ran before? Coming up, I'm going to tell you what playbook that the Raiders need to run this week against Kansas City if they decide to start Desmond Ridder after signing him and giving him number 10, baby. Before I get into that, though, huge shout out to our sponsor, Prize Picks, and I'll be curious to see if Prize Picks has something for Desmond Ridder, or maybe if they end up putting something in there, little passing yards, little rushing yards. Oh, don't tempt me, Prize Picks. PrizePicks.com/CLNS. Make sure that you use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, run your game. Sign up today and get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. PrizePicks also offers weekly promotions that can lead to big-time payouts like Taco Tuesday. Each Tuesday, PrizePicks discounts select player projections up to 25% to provide even more value for your lineups. You can now win up to 100 times your money on PrizePicks with as little as 4 correct picks. PrizePicks is the best way to get action on sports in over 30 states, including California, Florida, and Georgia, and Texas. PrizePicks is the only real money daily fantasy platform with an injury insurance policy, so your lineups stay in play even if one of your players gets injured. If your player leaves in the first half and doesn't return, PrizePicks keeps your lineup alive. And since I'm making this on Tuesday, the NBA is getting back here. Last time I checked, it was like Anthony Edwards was 0.5 points. That was one that I ended up doing yesterday or 2 days ago. I ended up having it for all my lineups this entire week. Shohei Ohtani home runs. more or less on that. Like, we got MLB, we got football, and basketball is back. This is a great time to get started with Prize Picks, so that link is going to be available to everybody watching this show right now down in the comments, down in the description of today's show. Huge shout out to Prize Picks, the #1 daily fantasy sports app out there. PrizePicks.com/CLNS. Let's go to the playbook that I'm going to run here. If I'm going to go with a playbook, I'm going to go with the Tyson Bagent playbook. And Bagent and Ridder, I'm not saying are the exact same quarterback, but Desmond Ridder is a lot closer to Tyson Bagent than he is Aiden O'Connell, Gardner Minshew, or Justin Fields. So if I know that I got to ramp up Ridder in a short week to get him ready to go up against the two-time defending Super Bowl champs, I'm going to go with a playbook that I know as an offensive coordinator for Luke Getsy that's also easy to digest from a D2 player. And I'm not saying Bagent didn't have to deal with complex stuff in D2, and I'm not saying that he's a dumb player. But I do know a lot of coaches, when Justin Fields went down last season and then they had to put in Tyson Bagent, they went with a much more simpler offense is how I would show it, and it looked pretty damn good up against the Las Vegas Raiders in Week 5. That's the type of offense that I would try to run because of the quick turnaround. I understand that Bagent, maybe from a number standpoint, didn't put up electric numbers by any stretch. 3 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. But again, I'm looking at the player, and based off of the players that Luke Getsy has coached in his NFL career, I am going to say this is the quarterback that I think is a little bit closest to him. Some people have given the example of a quarterback like Mariota. I don't think Ridder is the athlete that Mariota was, but I also think Ridder was a better passer than what Marcus ever was. Tyson Bagent set up a blueprint for the way that the Raiders should try to run the offense this week. After that, then you can go to a different playbook. You can install some of the stuff that you've been doing. But again, why the hell not try something? Because it's not like Luke Getsy's been doing all that great. Can the Raiders get a little Andy Dalton magic? Mitch, what the hell are you talking about? Andy Dalton played against the Raiders, and I mean mollywopped the silver and black. This guy looked like the red rifle that you saw back at TCU when he threw for 319 yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks. On top of that, well, I don't know if I should say on top of that, he hasn't looked good since the game against the Raiders, so maybe it was just the Raiders being bad and being badly coached and not prepared. But I also know that sometimes all it takes is a little bit of a switch, and it's not just the quarterback position. It can fire up an entire team. And when you watch the Carolina Panthers play against the Raiders back in Week 3, that entire team was so fired up to finally have a quarterback under center that they thought gave them a chance. It bled off into the offense. It helped out the offensive line, helped out the defense from top to bottom. And just because of how poorly Minshew has played, because of the turnovers Minshew has created, I literally think just having Desmond Ridder out there and Raiders players going, well, at least we're not going to turn the ball over 3 to 4 times today, that's going to be a little bit of a sigh of relief. That's also going to let you breathe a little bit because this defense, this team right now, their buttholes are this freaking tight because they know that they can't afford to make any mistakes. When you have a quarterback like Minshew that's turning the ball over as much as he has, you got to play perfect football. I don't know if you've watched the Raiders recently this year. They are so far from perfect, it's not even funny, which is maybe why if we start Ridder, we get a little Andy Dalton magic. Coming up, though, my final reason why Ridder should start. And whether you like Desmond Ridder this season, if you're somebody where you're going, Mitch, doesn't matter. All I care about is 2025. All I care about is the Raiders next season. Then this one down here is specifically for you. But before we get into that, we were talking about the World Series. Shout out to our sponsor again here, Prize Picks. Who you got? Are you going to go with the Dodgers, type D? Or are you going to go with the Yankees? The Doyers or the Yankees is what I believe Alex's mom would say. I know that the Dodgers beat the Mets. And for those that don't know, I got to wear a Mookie Betts and Dodgers hat on Thursday when we go live, which Justin Abgen just came in here to rub it in my face a little bit more. Giggity. But there's no way I'm taking the Yankees. Give me the Dodgers to win the World Series here. But seriously, make sure you're tuned in to Thursday Night Football. It's the Minnesota Vikings on the road up against the Los Angeles Rams. Will Cooper Kupp be in that game? Only time will tell. We will be live. I have a lot of fun on Thursday night. Chugs and I, we get down. We get a little bit crazy. And quite frankly, I think it's the shows that people enjoy the most now because, let's face it, game days are a little bit less fun this season. So make sure you pull up, make sure you subscribe on Thursday Night Football, where we get a little bit wet and wild. And if you're a Dodgers fan and you want to make fun of this Mets fan, I'm a good sport. Maybe I won't be. Maybe I will be. Let's go to the final reason here. It's you got to evaluate Luke Getsy as many possible ways as you can. I've sat up here so many times and I said it's time to fire Luke Getsy. I don't think Luke Getsy was a good hire. I don't think Luke Getsy's ever been a good offensive coordinator. I can't believe that the Raiders even hired a guy that's been as bad as what he's been. But if I'm going to paint a picture of, all right, the Raiders are going to keep Luke Getsy the entire season, that way AP as a fall guy in case the offense doesn't get it going, well, let's evaluate Getsy as many ways as we possibly can. If Luke Getsy is really bad with Gardner Minshew, and Gardner Minshew looks like the worst quarterback or in the NFL / Gardner Minshew looks like he's never been worse in his entire career with Luke Getsy, maybe it's a Luke Getsy problem. Aiden O'Connell. Aiden, I thought, played better as a rookie last season. I thought Aiden looked better with Josh McDaniels' offense than he has in this Luke Getsy offense, okay? And then if Ridder goes out there and he's also just like way worse than what he's been his entire career, I hope that if it's not the millions of Raiders fans saying Luke Getsy sucks, fire this clown, if that's not going to do it, maybe AP and Telesco will finally grow some stones when they go, all right, I've never seen Gardner Minshew play this bad in my entire life, because if I'm Telesco, I'm going, wait a minute, why is Minshew playing so bad? I'm the one that wanted Gardner Minshew for 2 years, $25 million. I'm the one that hired Luke Getsy. I'm the one that wanted to put this offensive staff together. But Telesco, these GMs, these coaches, they're going to go, well, that's not my fault. It's going to be that guy's fault. If you're bad with Minshew, you're bad with Aiden, you're bad with Ridder, I understand that those quarterbacks are not franchise quarterbacks. But if Minshew looks the worst that he's ever looked, if Ridder looks the worst that he's ever looked, and if Aiden looks the worst that he's ever looked, and if this Raiders offense looks worse than what it did last year with Josh McDaniels, maybe it's a Luke Getsy problem. That's why you start Desmond Ridder. We have to evaluate Luke Getsy. I've already done enough evaluation. I'm firing his ass tomorrow. But for AP, for this Raiders team, there you go. That's why you start Desmond Ridder. Because if you are trying to plan for next season, even if you're not trying to plan for next season, you need to honestly look yourself in the mirror and go, we're a 2-5 football team. A 2-5 football team that doesn't look like we got anything going for us this season. So with that being said, why don't we plan for the future a little bit? Evaluate Luke Getsy, see what you got in him, because here's the thing. It can't be any worse than Luke Getsy and Gardner Minshew. At the end of the day, that's why I want to start Desmond Ridder.